So, hi, Michael Dominguez. How are you today?
I am doing well, my friend. Thanks for having me back. I am the president and CEO for Associated Luxury Hotels, and we basically are a global sales organization for independent hotels and independent hotel brands.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Lowe, CEO of Red Velvet, which is a boutique creative events agency.
Tell us just a little bit about Corbin Ball and what Corbin Ball does.
I am currently a speaker, consultant, writer, and uh, analyst on event technology.
I'm John Howe, also known as Jonathan Howe in full. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Howe and Hutton.
Hi, I'm Mandy Archer. I'm with Infinix Global Meetings and Events. You might also know us as RX Worldwide Meetings.
No. Hi, my name's Brant. I am a technical producer and consultant and educator based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
My name is Liz Connors, and I am lifestylist and founder at Loves Together.
Hi, I'm Jim Spellos. I'm president of Meeting You, and what I do and what I've been doing for 20 years is teaching people how to utilize technology more effectively.
When's your first in person? Like, do you have things on the books?
We do have something on the books right now. We're actually in the, so assuming this is going to be aired in a few weeks, our first in person is scheduled still for late May. Right now we are in discussion because technically we need a city of Austin to sign off on it.
Yeah, we've actually, I think it's important. We've had 11 in-person meetings since July of last year. So and candidly, last week, I just came off of 3. We had 3 back-to-back in 3 different cities. The week before, we were in Washington, D.C. With 30 people in attendance. This week, coming up, we have our showcases it's our Texas showcases of all things. So
Yay!
it is literally Dallas, Austin, and Houston, where between the week, we're going to have 120 people that are joining us when it's all said and done. So meetings are happening. They're going across the country. It's just certain pockets of the country, Jill, are still in a different mindset.
Don't have any on the books yet.
Nothing on the books.
I've got one of my previous clients that I worked with, in 2019 and earlier. They went online last year, did not have a good experience, and decided they were going to be one of these ones that were in person or bust. Now, that was a couple months ago that I talked to them about that. I struggle with that because it's in June and I just don't think we're going to be ready for that.
So we actually did do one, I would say about 6 months into the pandemic, we did have a live meeting forward. And what they did is they just found participants from a region that could get to the meeting without flying, without taking trains. It had to be a drivable location.
So, Don, where do you think we're going to be in the next 6 months?
I wish I could tell you where we're going to be in the next 6 days, much less 6 hours.
6 months, we're not going much further than we are right now. I think there's going to be a lot of slow movement into live meetings. I know the industry wants to get there. The finance of the industry wants to get there, but the reality is the people are very mixed right now. And I think one of the things we have to do as meeting professionals is respect our members.
Face-to-face meetings will come back, and they will, and trade shows will come back. And there's a real power in face-to-face meetings. And but I think that they will change. I think that there's we have learned a lot with this.
Is if we bring the events back fully live, a bigger focus on the mission and making sure that is really important, that it makes sense to bring people together, and also a real core focus on, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say the sex appeal of the event.
What we're seeing in the explosion in leisure business and leisure travel, to me, tells you everything you need to know about the appetite of people wanting to travel and get together. And as soon as they get the green light and they believe they're safe, they're going to move and they're going to want to be there.
I can tell you for the June group, Dallas is hard to find a hotel. So I know some groups are happening. We just haven't had a lot. A lot of our clients are large, so they're not going to be ones that are willing to take that risk we're seeing the smaller clients take that risk.
Right now, I think this thing's going to have a long tail. Anybody who thinks that it's just going to be okay after this date, it's all golden, is kidding themselves. And so you might as well not try. So don't try and wring your hands and, oh, is it going to be open up after July? Is it going to open up after August? Because it's going to have a long tail, and it's going to make a huge difference whether you're, whether it's a country or a county or a city. They're going to continue to have lockdowns and regulations and rules regarding the size of events and whether or not you can have events.
I've been sitting on those committees trying to help them define guidelines, and yet we still have a lot of unknowns. And I wish we just had some more firm guidelines so that we know whether or not we can move forward, because I feel like, I personally feel like we have enough data to know what we need to do to keep it safe, and what we do that might put us at risk, for being a super spreader event, because no one wants to be that. Who wants to be a super spreader?
Yeah, no kidding. No one.
But there is, again, enough data and enough activity that I feel confident that we know what's causing that. So,
happily, I think going into 2021, we're seeing a revival. We're certainly seeing a more of assurance as to people being able to get out and about again, but with a little bit different approach to how they're doing it. Some people talk about the new norm. There is no new norm.
Right.
I talk about the new reality, and we have a whole lot of new reality in this industry, as we all know.
What advice would you give a planner planning events in the next 6 to 12 months?
The folks that have done well over the course of this last year were the ones that were out front. And so it all kind of ties back into this, stop wringing the hands, let's just be decisive, I think, is probably the biggest thing. And then, put your weight behind whatever it is that you decide on. And so that combined with this idea of reincorporating the in-person, because they are going to be small at first. And chances are your online audience is going to be larger than your in-person audience. And so really acknowledging that and talking with your speakers and your presenters and saying, okay, I know there's people in the room, but there's your main audience right there. And
balance. Understand the balance from the pressure you're getting from above to drive the revenue that your organization needs with the needs of your attendees and your constituents who may not be ready to completely commit. I think they're going to have to figure out how to balance those two areas in order for them to create the best opportunity to create content and interactivity for their constituents, while also moving the needs of their organization forward.
They have not been even doing anything virtually or digitally. They are really behind the times, because if they think that everyone else has been in their little bubble of staying at home, not doing engagement, I think they're very wrong, because what we have found is a few CEOs have still not even ventured out. And so that engagement piece, whether your own community, whether that be through partners, attendees, users, et cetera, you're fooled if you think they're sitting there doing that, like just waiting for you to invite them. They have been invited to stuff. And so you need to kind of step up the game and re-engage.
Yeah, our culture has changed. I mean, our internal monologue is different. Like the next time I go to shake someone's hand or hug them, there's different thoughts. There's going to be this hesitation that we got to get over a little bit. And I think rolling that out in your marketing is going to be really important.
It's such a crazy mixed up world that we're living in here that it's very hard. So the thing I say is that you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to sort of literally roll with the punches.
I think that is probably the biggest lesson. Do not overthink it. And the one thing I've shared with planners, you need to give it 18 months and let the dust settle before you figure out what is and isn't. Because we're making a lot of assumptions in a really weird time. And as we've gone through this, it feels like we've been doing this for 3 years. It's been 12 months of a pandemic. It just feels like forever, because every 90 days, it was something dramatically new that we were having to learn. It's going to be the same coming out of this. Every 90 days, it's going to feel like something is brand new as far as what we're seeing moving forward.
We do that. We have a whole new set of tools that event planners can use to bring people together.
I would say it's going to take a lot of patience. I think some of us are kind of ready to get back to the norm, how things used to be. I don't think the norm is going to be that way. The one interesting thing I hear a lot of talks about is hybrid's going to kind of be the way for the future. at least for the next 2 to 5 years, which is an interesting kind of thought to me because we've been doing hybrid meetings for years.
Hybrid here to stay?
Oh, without a
Here
doubt.
for a year, here for ever?
No, I think hybrid's here to stay forever. But I remind everybody, I talk about this often. People overthink it. When I think of hybrid and those that are starting hybrid today, my commentary is simply congratulations on catching up to the largest tech companies in the world that have been doing hybrid for a decade.
And I think when we get through this pandemic, that we will, one of the things will happen is that virtual and hybrid events will make a substantially larger portion of the event pie.
We've also learned a lot of lessons. As much as people claim they're Zoom fatigue, baloney, they're COVID fatigue.
Also, how do we tie in this offsite audience that is not ready to go back or just has found that they prefer the cost savings and the convenience of joining from home? And I think you're going to see that not only with attendees, but also with speakers.
When you're planning that hybrid meeting, you're really planning about 2.5 meetings or maybe 3 meetings at the same time. And each one of them have their own demands and requirements to be successful. And being able to balance those out has been a real challenge to the industry. And some people are finding that you can do it, but you've got to be able to do it knowing what you're getting into, being prepared from a budget standpoint, because it's going to be expensive to do the hybrid meeting, because again, you're using 2 platforms or more.
And I actually had an epiphany a few weeks ago, and I'm calling it the hybrid sandwich, because when we were getting initially the inquiries from our clients to do hybrid or quote it out, at least they were shocked at how much it would cost for just, that 3 or 4 day event to be hybrid. So I was like, okay, so if it's the cost that's concerning you, why don't we take that same investment cost and spread it out across a couple weeks?
What we've learned here is that there are different audiences out there that we can expand, that we can move out and capture larger audiences than just sitting in the 4 walls.
So let's take what we've been doing for the last 10 months to a year, take what we've learned, and now try and bring back in an in-person audience as opposed to going back. What I fear is that a lot of folks are just going to go back to hybrid being, I'm going to stick a camera in the back and call it good.
So one of the things that we've really been focusing on is mobile apps, trying to engage your attendees that are there at the meeting, as well as those that are attending virtually. And the mobile apps just create a lot of shared experiences that we didn't have in the past.
And again, never think you know it all, because you don't. And nobody knows the right way yet. I remember
changing the mindset of going back, we're going to go back to normal, which you hear everyone saying. Well, this is a great time to not go back to normal, to really shed what wasn't working and harness what's new and what you've always wanted to do.
Stay together, keep sharing information, keep bringing each other up. This whole idea of rising tides lift all boats. And let's come out of this thing like we went into it, which is together.
I thank attendee management for the wonderful job they've been doing in trying to get the word out and present programs and items of interest that can help the industry go forward, as we all hope it will, as we go into 2021 and see what we can do to get people back to getting together and enjoying that great indoor sport of meeting with people. And outdoor sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Happy Global Meetings Industry Day to everybody. It's a good time for us to celebrate everything we bring to a global economy and to an economic engine. It doesn't run without us. So it's a good day to celebrate.